Peggy, you and Zavon there?
We are.
Okay. All right, let's read. I saw that Satan bade his angels lay their snares, especially for those who are looking for Christ's second appearing and keeping all the commandments of God. Satan told his angels that the churches were asleep. He would increase his power and lying wonders, and he could hold them. But, he said, the sect of Sabbath keepers we hate. They are continually working against us and taking from us our objects to keep the hated law of God. Go, make the possessors of lands and money drunk with cares. If you can make them place their affections upon things, we shall have them yet. They may profess what they please, only make them care more for money than for the success of Christ's kingdom or the spread of the truths we hate. Present the world before them in the most attractive light, that they may love and idolize it. We must keep in our ranks all the means of which we can gain. The more means the followers of Christ devote to his service, the more will they injure our kingdom by getting our subjects. As they appoint meetings in different places, we are in danger. Be very vigilant then. Cause disturbance and confusion if possible. Destroy love for one another. Discourage and dishearten their ministers, for we hate them. Present every possible excuse to those who have means, lest they hand it out. Control the money matters if you can, and drive their ministers to want and distress. This will weaken their courage and zeal. Battle every inch of ground. Make covetousness and love of earthly treasures the ruling traits of their character. As long as these traits rule, salvation and grace stand back. Crowd every attraction around them, and they will be surely ours. And not only are we sure of them, but their hateful influence will not be exercised to lead others to heaven. When any shall attempt to give, put within a grudging disposition, that it may be sparingly. Oh, wow. Is the devil plan working?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
It is. It is.
It is. You can see it when he says, make them possessors of land and money drunk with cares. And didn't y'all see that this week when that lottery hit $1 billion?
People in line. Have mercy.
Oh, I tell you, everybody this just starts to dream. And you know, my answer is they said, well, Miss Lily, what would you do? I said, I would not want to fool with that much money. I really would not. I would not want to fool with it. Everybody saying, oh, I give to charity, I give. And then I showed them some of the stories of people who won the lottery just to see what they said and their stories. I said, now look, their stories are reality and they're totally different than what you say. You said you're gonna build your family houses, you're gonna buy them cars, and I said, and do you see the reality of what really happens to the people who have all that money? But everybody wanted to win $1 billion.
It destroys people.
It destroys lives,
It
love
does.
for each other. It's terrible.
I was in the nail shop Tuesday, and the Powerball, it was big in California, and it came across the screen up there, and one of the girls that Vietnamese, she said, "Oh my God, Powerball in California!"
Ilisbeki was sick for 7 years. She suffered from swollen hands and even spent some time recovering in the intensive care unit.
I
But
mean,
her
she
health
went,
was
and then next thing
transformed
I know, I
when
was
she
sitting there because
attended a
one girl was doing
lifestyle
my nails,
program
but the
run
other
by
girl, she was
Adventist.
next to us,
She
face
made
was.
changes that had an
And y'all,
almost
she was
immediate
pulling out
effect. Her
Powerball. She
symptoms
said,
were
"Girl,
gone
where
within
you
a
get
few
that
weeks.
from?"
For the first time in a
I
while,
said, "You
her
play
hands and
Powerball and
legs
get
were
it?"
no longer
Oh
swollen.
yes. Oh, she was looking at her numbers, and that girl just went to a whole nother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just zoom. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it do you like this?
Yeah, money does that to people.
Mhm.
Money.
Oh, she was losing.
And the thought of money, but that's how gamblers get hooked because they keep saying, "Oh, the next time I
Mhm.
may have lost this time, but the next time I'm going to." So they always believe that it's always going to be a next time, and they're going to hit it big that time.
Mm,
And the old
mm,
enemy
mm,
just keeps them locked up, and
Cushion.
that's just covetousness. They never have enough. They
Yeah.
never have enough.
Mm.
And so the old devil is saying, if we can make them place their affections upon things, we shall have them yet. He said, they may profess what they please, but make them care more for money than for the success of Christ's kingdom or the spread of the truth we hate. So he says,
Mm,
you can profess what you want with your lips, but your checkbook shows what you value the most.
mhm.
Is it God's kingdom, or is it your kingdom?
Yeah, yesterday I was sharing with Peggy my experience. I just finishing up one volume, is 3 volumes by Spalding, The History of the Seventh Adventist Church.
Mm-hmm.
And this has to do with the history of the church, how it began, covers it right from the beginning. And from different regions of the world, just from that small beginning at Battle Creek
Mm-hmm.
to cover the whole world, and the experiences the men and women went through in spreading the gospel. Then he describes the area of evangelism, the area of literature work, which really was a crucial. Lily talked about hundreds and hundreds of literature distribution. This seems to have been one of the major instruments or tools that facilitated the growth of the work around the world, the printed page. And then talks about educational work, institutions, and all that. And then the medical work, all these 4 areas: evangelism, literature, education, and medical, and how these, like wheels of a car, have worked together. And what has touched me the most is just in light of what we are reading, the sacrifice, the spirit of dedication and sacrifice by men and women who worked under difficult times, the different modes of travel, and they expanded their own resources, and they really had nothing but gave everything they had. And then you contrast that with us today. We have inherited all this uh, legacy and heritage of work, and we don't seem to have the passion
Mm-hmm.
that these men and women had, and guided by Ellen White. And I was just yesterday reading about how Avondale College in Australia began,
Mm-hmm.
where people were saying, we just have 5,000 members in the whole country. We can't start anything. And she told them, God says, go and build a college out in the country. And they were saying no. And she moved and built a house there to encourage everybody. And today there's a full-fledged university. And so it's really a moving story just to see how God's work grew because of people who were selfless, sacrificial, and they were not governed by the law of self-preservation and covetousness. And you talk about us, the love of money, chasing after money. We love it, no doubt about it. But how does that interfere with our responsibility to be kingdom builders? I think it's something to consider and look into.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, all the stories about the pioneers, they were sacrificial. I mean, I remember reading one story about, I think it was Uriah Smith's sister, and how they both were very, very smart and just could have done any kind of other profession, but they chose to dedicate their lives to the work of the church. And most of them died young because they just worked their little selves to death. They didn't go to the doctor. They were just working and working and working sacrificially. And like I said, and most of them had brilliant minds and could have done anything else but they chose to do the work of God and sacrificially in starting this church. And sad to say, we've lost that pioneer spirit. Help us, Lord, to do better, But it goes on to the Satan is still talking on 267. He says now, when they start to have meetings, he says, tell the angels, be vigilant, be on your guard, cause disturbances and confusion, destroy love for one another, encourage and dishearten the ministers. And he says now, be sure to keep the ministers broke, keep them begging for money, keep them in poverty, keep them discouraged, because this will weaken their courage and zeal. And he wants to battle every inch of ground. And Satan's plan is to make us covetous and lovers of earthly treasures. And he says, as long as these traits rule in our character, salvation and grace stand afar off. I tell you what, this is his plan, and it is working. He said, this is the one that really got me. Crowd every attraction around them, and they will be surely ours. And we have got every kind of attraction, distraction, everything. Whether it's Facebook, news, any kind of screen thing, all day, all night, 24/7 access to any kind of movie, anything. I remember when we were growing up, you had 2 channels and some rabbit ears. And that's it. And radio.
Yeah. And after a certain time, the TV went out.
The TV went out, or your granny made turn it off and you couldn't see it.
You had the TV got turned off by 89, but on the weekends, I remember the station would go off and this big old black circle would come up there. That'd be the end of TV. By 11 o'clock, that's it.
Yeah, that's what I remember too. It would just go out.
TV would just go off, but not anymore. I mean, you can have access to any kind of vile, immoral, anything 24/7, and you can just go in your room and be sinful all by yourself, and nobody knows.
Talk to anybody anywhere in the world. Ain't no such thing in long distance no more, honey.
Nope, nope, nope.
Talk anywhere in the world, you can talk. Pick up the phone and dial straight there.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But Satan says when we crowd every attraction around them, they'll be surely ours. And he says, and not only are we sure of them, but their hateful influence will not be exercised to lead others to heaven. So he's saying not only will we be lost, but our influence will cause others also to be lost.
That crab in the barrel syndrome, you ain't gonna let nobody out succeed you. You just gonna pull them down, and somebody else gonna pull you down. Oh gracious!
And we're just greedy and covetous, and we don't want to give. We just try to hold on to every penny. I heard somebody say one time, when you return the tithe, it shows you're honest, but when you give the offering, it shows that you're thankful. So we're not honest and not thankful because some don't return the tithe and most don't return the offering. So did I see somebody's hand? I heard something. No.
Yeah,
I heard the radio today, and it was another Sunday keeping church. But on the radio, he said his church members gave an average of 2%.
Oh,
that was church-wide.
2%?
Wow.
2%.
Oh, wow.
Per person. So it's not just us.
Wow.
That's what's wrong with the world.
Absolutely is. Satan, I'm telling you, Satan has got the professing Christians wrapped up tight in selfishness and covetousness. That was his plan, and it is working marvelously. Marvelously.
Yeah, I was just thinking that well, Satan is the arch enemy. He's behind everything that is evil. But he really doesn't have to work that hard anymore because when you have a computer, an iPhone, you really have everything that you need to be enticed and to get into materialism, because every day you're bombarded with buy this, buy that. Yeah, we carry our own temptations wherever we go, and resisting the urge to get something that you really don't need is not easy. Yeah, we are loaded with these things. Our computers are loaded with temptation. You watch television, I mean, or everything electronic. Yes. Well, these things are good, they have a good purpose, but Satan is using them for his own ends and means.
Amen. Surely is. I remember I was hearing how many billions of dollars were spent on Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
billions of dollars on Halloween.
Yeah.
And where everybody's getting ready to buy on Black Friday when nobody needs another TV. Nobody else needs another, whatever they got. But they have to have it. They have to have it. Computer's old, let's get a new one. TV's old, let's get a new one. Need a second or third in the room. I mean,
And when you drive around, you see all these storage facilities, and some are coming up And I
Yeah.
know the other day we were talking about it, just wondering what people are storing
Mm-hmm.
or keeping in storage.
Stuff. My word, stuff.
It's like if you are going to keep it in storage for years and years, do you really need that stuff?
Need
That's
it?
right.
But
No,
no,
we
they
don't.
can't party with it. It has to be in storage
Mm-hmm.
so they know they have it when they
Mm-hmm.
need it.
Mm.
But that never
Yeah.
comes. Yeah,
Never
it.
really comes to pass. No, it just sits out there. And they said, "Well, I have it in storage, but you never use it.
And
Mm-mm.
you don't remember what you got in storage either.
Don't even forget. You
That's true.
forget what you got out there. It's true. It's
But
true.
I want to piggyback on what Zebron was saying about these electronics. If you notice the sales, it is electronics.
Mm-hmm.
New
Mm.
phones,
Mm-hmm.
earbuds, uh, new tablets. They just keep saying that they're improving them faster, this and faster that, because the electronics is the enticement. It's a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I'm just looking at everything that they upgrade. You got to upgrade your phones, and Vince was saying the other day, he was just laughing how Verizon keeps saying, "Oh, you can get a new phone, da 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 da. Da. We're gonna give you this much for your phone," but
Mm-hmm.
they hitting you for about $1,000 or more
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for a
Absolutely.
phone. You know,
Absolutely.
and we laughed about it, but those instruments are to detriment because as Deborah was saying, you can really get into some trouble with those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it entices you to spend a lot of time on them. And you get to see so much,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then they came up with this TikTok and this, all these different things to entice you and show you stuff. So you really, have to be careful when you turn on your phone, computer, because you get all these notifications and stuff. And I just think about the polar minds of these children because they get to see everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's not like you can, they do have some controls. Like my son put on his son's phone at one time, and where it was certain things he couldn't go in, and at certain times he could only talk to certain family members. But his mom decided to get him on the phone. So Brian said, "Okay, you buy the phone, and so okay, and my hands off," because she was controlling the phone then because they couldn't see what they wanted to see, and they could be on the phone with their friends after a certain time. So we just praying that they will not be overly enticed with this late night phone, capability
Mm.
that they are being exposed to because she's in bed and they got capability to be on the phone and on the
Mm-hmm.
internet and surfing and whatever, Snapchat and all this. So anyway, yes, to what Zebron was saying, it is really the tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's really the tool. TV, they're about obsolete, honey. Get them a
Mm-hmm.
phone or a tablet. Mhm.
Absolutely. You can get whatever on that little bitty phone, you can get into as much trouble as you could a room full of computers.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
it's
Um, Maybe just briefly, uh, many of us perhaps know the Amish people. We had them up there in Michigan, especially in Indiana. They live in communities. They do agriculture. They use horse and buggy, and they just resist the temptation to to be modernized.
mm-hmm.
In fact, they will not have a phone in the house.
Mm,
They will keep it outside by the gate. So to reach them, you call, you leave a message, and then they call back, but they will not carry a phone.
mm.
Yeah, to
We,
avoid this materialistic spirit and try
Mhm.
to slow everything down.
mm.
to keep
Yeah.
away. Yeah, it's
Sometimes we
corrupting.
think that they're too restrictive, but there is some what they're doing is worth us considering
It
Yeah.
is.
restrictions, on things like that, because we have let technology get out of control in our lives and our children's lives. And it's not cute and funny anymore. It's
sad.
it's sad. It really
Yeah.
is.
It's really a handicap too.
It is.
Very much so. I,
You gotta have it in one hand. Can't use but one of your hands because the other one is preoccupied with the phone.
can't drive a car, wrecking,
Mm.
killing folks. And then also, simple stuff like when everybody talking about the Amish people. I like it. I mean, I really like it because
Mhm.
they're getting their food from the earth, good, and they have, you buy stuff from the Amish, it is gonna be great quality.
Mhm.
Even the stuff they make, the crafts, the food and the jellies and the honeys and all of the stuff, like even the
Mm.
meats and stuff that people say they get from those farmers are good, clean stuff.
Yeah.
But these kids now, they don't even know that a chicken, they don't realize what they eating because they were talking about a chicken. Like you have to cut the feet and the leg off. And one little girl said, chicken ain't got no feet. And I'm like, Lord have mercy, do you not know chicken work around those feet? It was just, they don't know.
They
They
don't.
don't
They
know.
don't.
You
They
know,
don't.
Mm.
It's
so
it's terrible. But you know what? But until we as individuals, like I said, we can only change the world one person at a time, but it can start with us. It can start with us. If our families, if we would talk to our families and our children and our grandchildren about the distraction and about Satan's plan, it would change some things, because another family would see your family and what they're doing and the difference that it makes. Then it would spread. That's how, isn't it how Israel was supposed to take the message of God to the world, by being different, by people looking at them and says, they used to say, truly, these are the people of God. You see how God protects them. You see how they're different. You see how they do these things. And that's what we should challenge our families. And I challenge each one of us when we get together with our families these holidays. And I always use Christmas to review with my children everything that, we review wills, we review death plans. They say, oh, Mama, why you make the holiday so morbid? But no, we need to review the things that are going to make a difference in their lives and our lives in the future. And this will be the perfect time, this holiday season, to discuss with our children and our grandchildren. Let's put technology back in its place. It has gotten out of the barn, and it needs to be corralled and put back in its place. It is supposed to be a servant to us, a tool to use, but now we are being used by technology. So we have to get our priorities right, and we can do this, like I said, one person at a time, one family at a time, making a difference, showing people the difference that when we use technology as a servant to us, instead of a master over us, it'll make a difference. It'll make a difference. And the devil will be just he will be bewildered, because he'll know that his plans and his schemes are not working. So I challenge you over the next listen, from now until the first of the year, everybody is in wide open family party mode. It's the time to talk, to make a difference. So let's do that. And we're going to stop here because it's 8:17. So we will be on page 267. I saw that Satan. And read over this carefully to be sure that you haven't allowed Satan to get in and make you covetous and selfish. And we need some self-examination every now and then to check ourselves. Okay. Any other questions or comments?